first thing to do when you're making a loom for Waraji is to trace your foot like this and mark in between your toes right here. Then trace your other foot, just line up your heel, go like that, mark the middle. Then measure how high up you want the loops. I'm going 3.5, and then go 3.5 inches this way and mark there. Then mark where you want the side loops. So behind the curve there of your toe, so that it grips across there, and then back here to grip your heel. This one will fold up and there will be a loop right here, and so the rope will go through these loops and through that loop and around your ankle. So you mark those loops on both sides straight across, and the part where your toes are isn't going to be part of the sandal, because this is the traditional way where your toes hang over the front of the sandal. So the actual shape will be by connecting the points between your toes. Connect those points and make a curve here, and then there. So that'll be the shape overall. So we can see here the shape of the sandal goes like this. This is the part that wraps around the back of your heel, and these are our marks behind your toes and before your ankle here for the cord to go through. So this flap comes up and there's 2 loops on it, and this rope goes through these loops and through these loops and around your ankle. So for the side loops, start them a little ways away from the body of the shoe, and then I made my loops 1 inch and I went 5/8 in between here. So that's that, and then we'll have pins along the sides, steel pins that the rope can go back and forth and weave like that. And so it's important that the placement of the pins makes it so it's tight. So you can double up the rope and measure the thickness of both like this, or use a ruler, and that will be the distance between each pin, so that you have a tight pattern like this all the way across. So pin, pin, like that. An important point here about the shape of the shoe is that your toes are out here, and you connect the points in between your big toe and your other toes, and then make a shape here that follows those 2 points. In traditional Waraji, your toes hang over the front, and it works better if you make the sandals to cover your toes, and then the loop is going in between your toes. This front section ends up being floppy as the rope weakens, and it'll drag on the ground. So that must be why they did it that way. So remember that. That's the shape of the sandal to the in between the toes. So here's my loom. I drilled these holes a little over halfway through the thickness with a drill press so that they're real vertical, and just took nails, clipped the heads off the nails, and drove them in. And so earlier I said I was going to make 1 nail for each loop, but they're crowded, so I made it for every other loop. So there'll be a side-to-side loop in between each of these 2. So the first piece of rope, the skeleton of the Waraji, I made mine 16 feet, which will leave extra cord to go around your ankle and maybe up your leg. So you find the center of the rope and you put it in the front. Then you follow this nails, go around like that, around the loops, around the outside, the back loops, that, and then towards the front. And these nails correspond with the point in between your toes. So you can make a left and a right by having them offset like that. So it's that half. Then this side, same thing. And notice I went over the second one there. And that's so when you put this one in, it goes like this, and it goes to the second one across like that, so it overlaps that one. So that's the basic frame, and you want it to be tighter than I did here, really tight, and then if you can, clamp this down. And to begin the side-to-side rope, feed a little in like this, and begin by going around this loop, and this rope for the side to side I cut at 20 feet, and it's about a 1/4 inch thick, and I think that should be enough. I tried it before with 16 feet and it was just a little too short. So start like that, and then keep winding it around the end, and then go around this loop, then start to go side to side. So now we've taken the side to side rope, we've gone around the loop, around this in between there, around this loop, and now we start to weave it over and under through the spine like this. Sometimes you have to take twists out of it as you do it. And then keep it tight. And include this in the weave. So when you come back again, you just keep going over this part too to hold it tight. So now I'm weaving back and forth, over and under, and you can use something like shuriken to keep it all tight in formation like that as you go. And when you start to run out of room, when you can't weave anymore, then raise it up a little bit. The two pieces that you had coming out the front in the beginning, now you can lace them through the loops. And so as you're weaving, when you reach a loop, go around it and then continue weaving. And so now that there's no room left to poke it through, I'm going to take it off of the form and then use the remainder to tighten this up and make a little bumper like I did here, weaving it around the end.